Hello, my name is Yulia Gu.
Hello, my name is Jordan Pelovitz.
Hello, my name is Ayla Rios.
Hello, my name is Madeline Weeks.
And the title of our performance is Fighting from Factories.
Female workers shape America during World War II. The United States entered World War II on December 8, 1941, causing many able-bodied men to be drafted into the military. This left many new and pre-existing jobs, usually filled by men, open. The idea of women working sparked a huge conflict due to the collective fear that women would leave their place in the home. However, it had led to an important compromise, allowing women to work in factories during wartime, and proved through their success that women could work just as well as men. Without the female workers of the 1940s, women would not have many of the jobs that they have today. Posters, radio advertisements, and newspaper articles were used to aid the recruitment process for different factory jobs.
Look, they're asking women to work in factories.
Really? What does it say?
Come to the Ford Aircraft Factory to apply to join the war effort. Remember, the more women at work, the sooner we'll win. Now is the time to do your part.
What would they let women do in factories?
Well, it says the jobs available are riveting and welding.
But those are men's jobs. Why would they need us to do that?
Well, with so many of the men gone, someone needs to fill their spots.
How will we apply?
It says to go to our local employment office. Why don't we go tomorrow?
Sure, I'll see you then. Goodbye.
Bye.
Women's employment increased from 13 million at the end of 1941 to almost 19 million by the end of 1943. And 90% of all able-bodied single women between the ages of 18 and 40, and 1 out of every 4 married women were part of some form of work or national service. Despite this, women would usually be mocked or mistreated when they went to employment offices to be hired. While it was still necessary for women to work, many men were upset that women were leaving their place in the home and stealing jobs from men.
Hello, ladies. What can I help you with today? Here to donate some scraps for the drive?
Actually, we're here to apply for jobs at the factory.
Oh, I see. I can't believe I have to hire women. They can't handle factory work. Here, fill out these forms and you'll be all set to start working tomorrow. You will be working a 12-hour shift. Oh, and don't get to thinking you'll be able to keep your jobs once the men come back. I assure you, the happiest duty of my life will be saying goodbye to each of you women as I usher you out the front door.
Wait a minute. I live far away from the factory. That means I'll barely get any sleep and I still have to do all the housework and take care of my son. How am I supposed to do this?
Don't worry, Eleanor. We'll think of something. There has to be someone who can take care of your son. Maybe your mother can. Although the majority of people that oppose women working were men, there are still women that oppose the idea as well. Many mothers wanted their daughters to follow in their footsteps by being nurses, seamstresses, and housewives rather than working in factories.
Mother, I got a job at the Ford factory. The only problem is I need someone to look after Robert. I was hoping maybe you could watch him?
Why did you get a job? You don't need to work. You're already doing enough with paying your victory bonds and working in your work garden.
But, Mother, I want to actually contribute to this war more than just planting some vegetables.
No, Eleanor, it's way too tricky and dangerous. You don't know what kind of people you could be associated with. Besides, it is your responsibility to take care of your son.
Fine. I heard an advertisement for childcare on the radio anyway.
You can't take him to child care. People will think you're part of the lower class.
Well, what other options do I have? I'm sorry, Mother.
Eleanor, no, wait!
One issue women faced while working was that many women lived far away from the factories. Due to rationing during the war, long travel was difficult and raised conflicts with getting to work. People were only given a certain amount of ration stamps on a ration card for gas.
Hey, are you okay? You seem tired.
I'm fine. It's just because of gas rationing. It's way too expensive to drive. So I have to take the bus, which means I don't get home until 10, and I have to wake up at 4. And I've barely eaten anything all day.
I've been having a hard time getting food as well. Not many restaurants are open after work. Food is too expensive and often of poor quality. Anyways, is your mother able to take care of your son?
I asked her, but she won't take care of him. Right now I'm having a babysitter watch him, but it's getting expensive. I'm going to try and get him into childcare tomorrow.
Good luck. The federal government initially discouraged mothers with young children from working outside the home. However, in 1941, the Lanham Act was passed, allowing the government to create a grant for childcare. This was the first and only time in American history when families were able to send their children to federally subsidized childcare, regardless of their income. About 600,000 of children are estimated to have received care from the Lanham Act, but sadly, only 10% of children in need were helped. This was mainly due to the government having difficulties getting staff. The government support for child care was temporary, even if women were ready to surrender their jobs or publicly provided daycare.
Excuse me, is this the Maritime Child Development Center?
Yes, it is. What can I do for you today?
I'm here to register my son for your daycare. I hear your rates are very reasonable, just 50 cents a day.
I'm sorry, we're all full, but we could always use more staff. If you joined the Women Working Care, we'd be able to take care of your son.
I'm sorry, I actually already have a job. Do you know if there are any other child care centers in the area that aren't full?
I believe they're at maximum capacity. I'm sorry.
The government claimed that men and women should be paid the same amount because they feared that if women were paid less for the same work, management could dilute male workers' wages after they returned from the war. However, 2/3 of factories paid women less than men, and most employers felt there was no need to pay women the same amount as men because women's work was seen as easier. Additionally, many factories separated male and female workers so they could claim that women did different work than men.
All right, here are your wages for this week. $31 for you.
Thank you.
And $54 for you.
This is ridiculous. I riveted just as well as you, and yet I got paid more than $20 less. I deserve equal pay.
Look, sweetie, you got a problem? Take it up with the boss.
He won't listen. If we pay the same amount for the stuff we buy, we should get paid the same amount for the work we do.
Women performed very well in tasks that required them to use increased hand dexterity, and even though the demand of factory production was greater during wartime, women were able to keep up. When President Roosevelt called in 1940 for 50,000 planes a year, his political opponents saw this impossible goal as clear evidence that he had gone mad. But by 1944, the United States was producing 120,000 planes annually, largely due to women.
All the day long, whether rain or shine, she's a part of the assembly line. She's making history, working for victory. Rosie, the riveter.
All right, ladies, nice job. You're done for today.
Thank you.
These ladies are actually doing a nice job.
I know. Ever since the women started working, my wife has learned how to fix a car, do the finances, and of course work in these factories. And she still does all of the housework. I'm really surprised with these ladies. The war ended on September 2nd, 1945. Although everyone was rejoicing, many problems followed the return of the veterans. One problem that arose was divorce. Divorce rates spiked from 1 out of every 6 at the beginning of the war to 1 out of every 4 by the end. Another problem was that most women wanted to keep their jobs, but were forced to leave or fired due to the returning veterans. Women were still allowed to work, but they had to be waitresses, secretaries, or other jobs that were seen as pink-collar jobs.
Everyone, the war is over. Our men are coming back home.
All right, ladies, the war is over, so we've got to make room for the returning men. You and you're both fired. Don't come into work tomorrow.
I can't believe this. I sacrificed everything for this job.
We helped build over 60,000 planes. Why can't they let us keep working?
What are we going to do now?
The compromise formed during World War II allowed women to work in factories during wartime. Although temporary, their success and hard work proved to the world that women could work just as well as men. In 2014, some of these women were finally honored by Vice President Joe Biden at the White House.
The female factory workers of the 1940s helped to inspire the feminist and female liberation movements of the 1970s and beyond. Women began the fight for equal pay for both genders during World War II, and feminist protesters of today used recruitment posters from the 1940s, such as the famous "We Can Do It" poster, as symbols of female empowerment.
Between 1940 and 1945, the female labor force grew by 50%, and even though women were removed from their jobs, polls indicated that 61 to 85% of women wanted to keep their jobs. Today, there are over 72 million women employed.
Without the female workers of the 1940s, women would not have many of the jobs that they have today. Through the compromises made due to this gender conflict, women were able to make the first step towards equality in the workforce.
We can still do it!